right, we've got a new location, a new time to talk about golf, and I got a friend here that we're going to talk with. Oh, it's in my drawers golf talk.
Nothing's come on yet.
You should be there. You're delayed. Welcome back to Hammock Beach.
There you are.
You got it? Okay. Welcome back to Hammock Beach. Jim McCleary here, and as you can see, we are in a room. So I got to give you the tour. I want you to see this view here. Look over here. Look at this. Look at that. This is what our friend Steve hooked us up with right here. See that green out there? That's a golf course. I'm telling you. Of which we got to play today, by the way. All right. Let's put you back. There we go. So why is it what's in my drawers? Because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats. And that would be me. So that's the reason why. Now it's turned into a community from around the world. And we just talk golf fittings, repairs, opinions. You name it, we're doing it. All right. So a couple of things. Number one, we traveled from, give me a second. We traveled from this. Yep, we traveled from that, which is nasty snow-covered stuff. And 2 days later, we were right there. Okay, in Florida. Then we went and visited some family. And now we had an opportunity. Now we're staying here. We're staying here. And we played there. And there. And there. And there. See that view? That goes right over to the ocean. That's a par 3. It is a ball-eating green, I'm here to tell you. And we're there. And then a bit of a room that you can see where we're staying. So golf has gone first class, at least for one day. All right, so what's going on? We're in Florida. We're here for the PGA show. And tomorrow begins the PGA show with the demo day. And the demo day is called the Demo Day Fitting Day. And it can't be any more appropriate because you're going to find out the guy I'm here with is quite the fitter. And then it's 2 or 3 days worth of PGA show. We do have some people that we're visiting with, so we're going to see some golf shafts, some golf grips, some other things that may not, they'll probably be everything but heads. All right. And outside of that. So again, if there's something specific that you want to see or hear from, if we have the opportunity, we will go look at it, but you got to put it in the show notes. Okay. Put it in the show notes or send us some sort of contact. You can email at mcgolfshow@roadrunner.com and tell us what you're interested in seeing. Now, how do you know what to go see? Look up PGA Merchandise Show, and up there it will have a list of all the vendors. And when they have all those vendors, then you can pick them out, and then we can go look at them. Okay. Certainly, we'll be taking a tour around the new exhibitors or the new inventors, what they call, and trying those out and those kinds of things. So put that down there. Last but not least, like and subscribe, hit the bell down at the bottom, and that way you get more of these videos when they drop. Okay. So without ado, one of the guys following the channel, his name is Steve. I'm going to let him pronounce his last name for fear of getting it wrong again. But Steve, let me do it before I bring him in. Steve is a world-class fitter. Okay, he was over on the west coast of Florida and did a phenomenal job with fitting. Very large account, to the point he's on Callaway's what we'll call the national board. Okay, that's a special place to be. He's also acquired his PGA certification, we'll call it that, and gives lessons. So quite the talented guy. So you can ask questions of both of us. He's sitting right here, right over in this direction, and we'll bring on Steve. And there's Steve. There we go. So we've got all. So again, Steve is we'll call him. He did his post or pre-life in Virginia, and once he got done with that, he came down to Florida and acquired his PGA certification and went to a lot of the different OEM fitting schools and just took off from there in Sarasota, right?
Yes.
So in Sarasota, so and just went crazy with it. And he was instructing a young man who has aspirations of getting onto the tour, and we got to golf with him today. And boy, oh boy, he hits the ball a mile.
He does hit it a long way.
He hits the ball a mile. So if you guys have any questions about anything about Steve, we went out there, and of course he spanked me by about 12 strokes. But I'm calling the first time out card.
that and the fast greens.
Oh, and fast greens, they were absolutely awesome. Okay, so again, if you got any questions, so let's ask Steve before we get to these other questions. Let's ask. So you got to see some of the new Callaway product. We'll just go with that.
What
did you take away from it? What do you think is going to be the hot ticket items? Because everyone's got one, right?
Right. Yeah. This year with the new driver, obviously you saw today, we both had the opportunity today to play the new driver. It's the first time I got to play it. I got to hit it the other day, and it's definitely higher off. So I hit a couple drives today, probably farther than I've hit them since I've been out here. So I think the driver's going to do really well. I did a fitting yesterday for one of the members here at the club. He was playing an older set of clubs, and we fit him into the new Rogue ST Max irons, and he picked up 20 yards on his irons. So just an incredible difference of where he was to where he ended up. So obviously he's already placed his pre-order for a set, but yeah, they did really well at the fitting day that we had, and everybody that's hitting them right now is really enjoying them. I got to try the new Rogue ST Pro irons, hit those. I think they'll do really well. Good looking iron, even for that mid to low handicap player, not hard to hit, but still a distance iron. So I think that'll do well.
Yeah. It's that new hollow body. So they're here. I think we're going to see from them, because the original one when Ely Callaway was still here, he was all about taking care of the average golfer, and the main lines were the average golfer lines. And we've seen them sneak in some quality golfer lines with the TCBs, right? And some of the Apex forged, and those are the one piece that would fit the better player. And that was we'll call it traditional forged type club. Where now the hollow body is becoming really popular. It spans across many of the other OEMs, but this one looks, instead of being all goofy wide, this one looks more traditional.
Definitely. A lot less offset, too. That's what I noticed, the big thing about it. I mean, I currently play the Apex Pro irons, and really the only difference that I see when I look down at them is that the new Rogue Pro is just a little bit wider, just a little bit thicker top line. But other than that, real similar look. But it's got the cup face with that hollow body, so really fast off the face, real good gains with it.
So what out of the shafts, because they went over to Tensai, right? There was the Tensai new rifle shaft.
Yeah.
So what did you come away with that one?
I think the rifle shaft's a real good shaft, for people that need it. I still play graphite shafted irons. Most of the people that I fit, are a little bit on the older side, so we tend to fit more into the graphite stuff here. And they've done real well with all that. So I think, Callaway always comes out with a pretty good line of clubs, and getting somebody, as fit in the right shaft really does make the difference for the performance that you get out of the club. So, the best club in the world, you put a bad shaft on it or a shaft that doesn't fit for that player, it's just not going to work. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we have Tensai blue, Tensai white, multiple weights, right? And the Cypher which was kind of new-ish, right? That in the very, very light. And you know what I found out is you might be surprised that the Cypher is probably a little more butt stiff. So that guy that's like that, he might actually enjoy that one. It's really, when I measured him on the machine, it's a whole different ball game than the other two. And don't be surprised if you don't see some people really going, well, I didn't see that one coming. And,
yeah, especially
and that.
the way they, as light as they can go now in those shafts. I mean, it's amazing.
Right. Okay. And then the one I haven't seen yet are the putter line. That putter line, I'm just waiting. I'm suspecting that when we get back, that we're going to have a few boxes sitting there, and there's going to be a lot of short sticks in those.
They're pretty sharp this year. I'm real happy. I'm real happy with the inserts, the change. I made the new 2-ball 10 from last year. I had gotten that putter, and I actually went back to my previous year's putter just because that insert, it was a little harder for me to control the distance. So now with these new ones coming out, back to the original white hot insert, it's just done so well. I mean, even watching TV and you watch the tour pros now, you know, the majority of those guys are all putting with those Odyssey putters out there with that white hot insert. So really looking forward to getting those this year.
So Steve normally has the ability to fit just about every company that's out there, and he's just gravitated towards Callaway. Who's number 2?
Whew, that's a good question. It's kind of going back and forth. When I had everybody in line, for me, it would go back and forth between Ping and TaylorMade. But I had a lot of luck with Srixon last couple of years. I think they've done really, really well. Their new equipment. Just about everybody loves the irons. It's hard not to like the Srixon irons. So especially for that kind of mid to low handicap player that's a decent player, really sharp looking iron, performs really well. And then Ping, you know, the Ping driver has been really good. You know,
the
a lot
LST
of people
is a
playing
monster.
Yep, a lot of people playing that Ping driver. So I think they've done well. It'll be interesting to see this year with TaylorMade and the new carbon face and how that kind of holds up and what comes from that in the long run. So interesting to see that.
Good. So if you guys got any questions, throw them in here. We're going to get started. He's going to be able to see them just as much as I can. So we'll go right here. There's Emmanuel. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're enjoying your time at the PJ show. That's going to happen. I hope my questions this week. I have a complex build coming up, so all we can learn from the visit in chilly Orlando. And you're not lying, bud. 40 degrees at night. Although today, when we left Ocala, it was 26 degrees. Brutal 26. We got about halfway over. It busted freezing. By the time we rolled into the parking lot, it was in the mid 40s. It felt like a heat wave. And then we got out there, and it jumped up almost to 60. And I'm here. I golfed like this, and it felt like it was 100 degrees out there based on what we went through. So thank you, bud. Mike from Buffalo. Super excited to hear or to hit the new Cobra. Things are looking promising. Okay. I saw that new one. Have you had a chance to hit that one?
I have not. I've seen pictures of it. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
I've seen that one.
You know, we had some pretty good luck with Cobra as well. You know, you get those people that kind of like that look and those Cobra players, and the driver's done pretty well last couple of years. So
I like that one. And you see there's the 3D printed putter. I don't know about the 3D printed putter, but yeah, I'm getting. You know what? They're not afraid. The thing I really liked about Cobra is they're not afraid to get outside the box. You know, and that's always been the thing. Is in order to really bust through, you can't be afraid to do something like that.
And having a guy like Bryson on staff, obviously, you know, is going to help with that.
Yep.
Especially the driver. I mean, they've been trying to get a driver that performs for him specifically for a while. So that's why kind of interested to see how this one's going to do this year.
There's my buddy Matt. No rounds, just snow. Yeah, if you got out this week, Matt, I'd have been impressed. All right. What can we do to get through the winter? It has been a week, and I am missing playing, having fun with this one. Well, down here, they don't have to worry about it so much, but up there, I guess it's simulators, man. We got to get into that simulator. They got the simulator leagues. I'm surprised they're not going round the clock for you guys up there. That's the only thing I've got. Let's see what we got here. Danny. Jim Steve, look at that. Here, hope you're having nice weather. Yep. Do you think Callaway will make any improvements to super soft golf balls? Pardon me, like they did the Chrome Softs. Actually, I think Steve got a little bit more information than I did on this one.
Yeah, we just had a virtual meeting this past week, and a lot of talk about the golf ball, but it was all about the Chrome Soft and the changes this year. If you are a super soft ball player, you may want to try the new Chrome Soft, or standard Chrome Soft. They've definitely made some good improvements to it this year. It's longer, it's a little bit softer feel. The Chrome Soft XLS this year is softer, so not going to play as hard as it was last year, but it's actually longer. So another one that, but will fit a wide variety of players that you probably wouldn't expect. But if you're a super soft player, I'd try Chrome Soft just to see what the difference is. But I have not heard if they've made any changes to the super soft ball.
Okay. Me either. I heard that the Chrome Soft got the big improvement. The LS ball got the big improvement. The X ball got some window dressing. Yeah. And that was pretty much. Now, I didn't hear anything about the ERC. Did they do anything with that?
No. Again, Chrome Soft, they changed the formula for the center core. And that's where the speed is coming from. And they did change the cover. And then Chrome Soft went from, I think, a 4-piece to a 3-piece, or 3-piece to 4-piece. Can't remember now. But they did change that.
Good. All right. Curtis, what do you, Kurt, bud? Has driver head tech reached a point to where it is now how much better you are with your misses? Well, Kurt, the thing is, it's always been about how we were just talking about that today. It's not about how good your good ones are, because they're always good. It's about how good the bad ones are. And that's where we're at. Now, what you're asking is a head more forgiving? And are we at a point? I would say no. All right. Why do I say that? Because every time somebody thinks they've got the most forgiving driver, somebody comes out with something else that's more forgiving, whether it be a material or a weight placement or a shape or something is just different, and it makes it more forgiving. And what we're seeing, and again, as Steve was saying, that we went out and hit the road today, and we were busting it. I mean, busting it. And about halfway through, I was white. I saw a ball mark, and I was getting ready to wipe it off, and there are grooves on the face. Yeah. This is the first time Callaway's had grooves per se on the face in 10 years.
Yeah, a long time.
It's been a while. Easily 10 years.
I will say that I mean the biggest thing that I noticed with the new driver, not just the distance buzz, but was some of the mishits. I mean, a couple of the ones. Oh man, we both hit a couple of ones that I wouldn't have normally expected the results that I got. So that the new speed frame and the way they've pushed that out wider now in the driver, I think it has helped a little bit. I found it definitely to get a little bit more ball speed, even off of those toe hits or heel hits.
And a little more forward too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A little more forward, yeah.
For sure.
Okay. There's my buddy Joe. Let's see, where'd they send you this time around? At least you were on the sub. You could hide from the crap for months. Joe. Joe works on airplanes in every shape and condition of weather, and some of the stuff is pretty brutal. Good guy. All right, Willard. Let's see. Good evening, Jim Robin from Warner Snowfish, Stark County. Oh my God, snow again. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Northern Ohio got beat up. All right. And you did need to heal. Is that going well? We really want to know, bud. Oh, and take care of that, because that's far more important. All right, Danny. How much more? Yeah. And still be legal. Well, and in the last handful of years, the RNA and the USGA have been far more active, right, in rule changes, as we're seeing, not 47, 46 in the length, and all that's all fine and dandy. Honestly, if you go out and find how many people are playing a 47-inch driver well, you can count them on this hand, right? It's just it's a rarity. Going to 46, you're still on this hand, right? It's a rarity. So they're really not hurting anything. In fact, they're probably making it easier for them to hit it better by making it shorter. Now, as far as the driver head goes, as far as forgiving, you can always figure out a way to move that stuff further out or further back, or give you those weights that move a little bit more in order to adjust. You can always do it. The one thing that we always, you'll hear guys that want to beat up on the industry that say, you notice how the companies no longer say 10 yards further.
Yeah.
Right? 10 yards further.
Thank goodness they changed.
Right? Because, and we used to talk about it too, that you could start at the beginning of an aisle at the PGA show hitting 250, and by the time you got down to the other end of the aisle, you're hitting 300, because I was going to get 10 yards by every club. Now, obviously, that's not what they mean, right? It's 10 yards more. One guy, if I hit this 10 yards more as the other guy, if you talk to them, they're really going to be real with you and go, no, that's probably not going to happen. However, marketing gets involved and it becomes a fallacy. And that's the bad part about it. Now what you're hearing is more ball speed, more forgiveness, just more. And as long as there's engineers out there that are allowed to free think, chances are it's going to keep getting better.
Well, their goal is to sell clubs every year and try to come up with something different from the year before. And I've always told people that typically I find year to year, there's typically not a lot of difference in clubs. If you go 2, 3, 4 years, okay, then you start to see more of a significant difference. And then every once in a while, something will come along that is just a little better than it was the year before. But typically, every year it's just not going to change a whole lot. There's only so much they can do. And as much time and money as they put into it, you can still only make small advances. And people don't realize how big it is to get 4 yards or 5 yards more out of a club.
Oh, geez, that's humongous.
Yeah. So, to get a couple of yards more year to year out of a driver is an awful lot. And even the guys on tour, as good as they are and as good as they hit the golf ball, they don't change every year. Sometimes it's hard for them to change up drivers. They get one they like, they hit well, they don't really want to change that. Most of them don't need a yard or two here and there. For them, and it comes down to, can I keep it in play and can I hit the shot I want to hit?
Does it go where I want it?
Exactly.
Does it go where I want it to go?
That's a big thing this year. Look at, there were a lot of guys that have changed drivers this year right off the bat with Callaway.
Oh, yeah.
TaylorMade. A lot of these guys through those clubs, especially the big guys, that rogue driver went right in their bag. So kudos to Callaway for what they did with it.
Yeah, and for the other side of the house, you're seeing a lot of press for the TaylorMade drivers, getting a lot of press. Yeah. Of course, it's in Tiger's bag, but Tiger's not playing, but it's in Tiger's bag, which is going to force sales. But I'm sure we're going to see it more, folks, as it becomes, these people will test it and it becomes a trust factor. Mm-hmm. The minute they decide that they like it, it's done. And then they're going to be playing well again. And normally when you do an equipment change, normally there's a bit of a dip.
Yeah.
And it all becomes it's a confidence thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, those guys, the Callaway staff guys, they, when they interviewed them, they know within the first 3 or 4 strikes whether they like the club or not.
Right.
That's just how good they are.
Okay. There's my buddy Charles. Hey, Matt, it's chilly out yesterday. I got to hit the ball around. You did not. Where you're at, were they moving it with the moving brushes and sweeping the whole golf course? You guys should have been covered, absolute covered. Oh, by the way, I still got it. Here we go, buddy. Salute. All righty. Here we go. Brendan, our buddy, what's your thoughts on the Toulon versus the new Odyssey Tri-Hot 5K coming out in the same price? I didn't think that they were. I thought the Toulon was still going to be a little bit more pricey.
Usually
Is that true?
it's normally
Yeah.
I haven't seen the price on them this year.
I don't think the Toulons are going down. So there's been a change in the putter distribution, and with this Odyssey Tri-Hot, you had Odyssey Tri-Hot, Toulon, right? And so Toulon, if you go to the Toulon garage, you're probably not going to come out of the garage, without spending no less than about $500 to $700, and that's just because of all the pricing to customize stuff, right? The Tri-Hots are I thought they're in like the 350 range. I think they're in the 350 range. I don't quote me just yet, but I think they're, we're seeing 2 and change for the Odysseys, and then if you put in the Stroke Lab, it's closer to 300, and these guys are going to be slightly above that. And then Toulon sits in that 4.5 range, Brendan. So as far as price goes, I don't think they're going to be the same price. However, that Tri-Hot looks cool.
It's
The Tri-Hot looks very, very nice, Brendan. I would certainly give it a ride. And the one thing that really told me what they really liked is the fact that they came out with a true center shaft. For a fact that when you get a true center shaft in their designs, that they're very, very confident in their product, because that's one of the last places they tend to go.
Yeah, people have been asking for it for a while.
Yep. There we go. How's sunny Central Florida? It's not. It's not sunny, except for today. It's brutal. However, the next couple of days, we're either going to see some rain or we're going to see some sun. So hopefully we can get you some good video. All right, Charles, 2 foot of snow. Here we go. Duke, he's in PA. Yeah, dude, if I could take this and put it in my truck and bring it up north, I would certainly do that in a second. There's Al. Who left the door open? Let's look. I'm telling you, dude, when it started off, what was it over here today?
Well, this morning it actually got down to 32, but by the time we got out there, it was in the upper 40s. So,
wow.
And we weren't out there for an hour, and it was already up close to 60.
Yep. It was, we were stripping off layers, man, stripping them off. There's Mike. Snowy Indian. We got pellet, man. I was just surprised. We normally, my neck of the woods, we get snow. It's an inch, maybe. Because we're on the backside of the mountain, and we very rarely get a big snow. Big snow is like big snow. Now we're like, this is a big, it shut down places for a while. And above us, where Matt's at, Matt, what'd you get? You got about 2 foot when it was all said and done? Yeah, and just 4 hours north. It's just crazy. There's Charles. We're getting snow tonight and Friday through Saturday. See, woohoo!
That's why we moved to Florida, so we don't have to see that anymore.
I wish too, man. There we go, single digits. Good evening, Jim. Robin home as well. Still cold Louisiana. Really? Okay. There's my bud David. What do you say, sir? Hope you're doing well over there. I hear what I saw in a news broadcast that the UK is thinking about ditching a lot of their COVID rules. Is that true? All right. Big Dog Rex woke up to 35. Well, I woke up to 26, but I got up to 60, so I think I may have you beat. Yeah. Sally gave me the go-ahead for us on Monday of my spring break. All right, Matt's coming down. So Matt's a teacher, and he's a mountain of a guy. He's a mountain of a guy, and he plays single golf, and he can get through it pretty good.
30 inches of snow. I got a comment on that.
There you go. I'd rather be where you were. It's minus 24.
Ooh.
Dude, sunny. That's what, Canada, bud. Travis K. What's the advantage of the Odyssey Stroke Lab shaft? There we go. What do you found out?
All the testing that they've done on it has to do with just the takeaway of the club,
right,
and how the club goes back and how much easier it is to keep it online. And that's basically what it proved out. And everybody that I know that's played Stroke Lab has improved their putting. So there's definitely something to it, I think. So, and all that weight savings from the shaft, they can move elsewhere. So it definitely does what it says it does. And again, I always look at PGA Tour, best players in the world. What are they doing? And you look at how many of those guys now have gone to that Stroke Lab. And there are other companies that make the same type of shaft besides Odyssey. So when you see it like that, there's something to it. It obviously works.
Yep. So we all know what the Stroke Lab is, right? The largest section of it is graphite, and the smallest section of it is steel. What happens is it gives it the tilt towards the steel section in order to give it the putter more of a head weight feel. Now, to balance that back out, they put a weight in the butt end of that putter shaft in order to balance it out more, because it would be ridiculously head heavy. And so depending on the length is depending on the weight that they put in there. And then that balances out. And that weight behind the hands when you're putting really slows down a lot of fast twitch. And what they're talking about is when you bring the putter back, it's smoother because you have some weight underneath your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called counterbalancing. And that's what's been happening. And it goes through. Very, very nice. I fully support it. It's definitely worthwhile, and it gives the putter a different feel too.
Does, yeah.
Right? The feedback on it is just crazy nice. And so yeah, if it's in there and it's an option, I would certainly support putting it in a putter. All right. No, that's Steve. He's been down here drinking from it for a while, not me. All right. Yeah, look here. There you go. There's Mom. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at it popped up.
Look at that. The icon on there. That's cool.
It's you.
Yeah.
What am I doing on there?
All right, here we go. What are your tips for things to look out for in the upcoming PGA show? Well, so from what you guys go through, when I go through I got two categories: things I have to look at and things I want to look at. And the one list is always longer than the other for sure. And then I have to compartmentalize what I need to look for.
Luckily for me, when I go, and I've been several years, I just kind of wing it, because I go in and I kind of know the direction I want to go in. So obviously all the new clubs and all the, typically all the OEMs are there, but they're not going to be there this year,
Right.
Which is going to be a big change for the show. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out this year, but I always like to look at all the main aid stuff, anything to do with that for teaching and fitness stuff. I like looking at all that kind of gear. And then they always have like the new, new to the show or new invention kind of stuff.
I love going there.
It's always cool to go look at that stuff and see what people are coming up with and what they're coming out with.
Yeah, I always find out there could be 300, there could be 500, there could be 100. I always find that one diamond in the rough that I think I could use that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a show I didn't come home with at least one or two things.
Yeah, right. And so you've got to really segment your time, David, if you do this. And what I look for me is what's going to help me improve my business first. Then once after I get that, then what would be some of the things I would like to have that could improve my business first. And then after that, it's all the other going around. Hey, as you're walking around, you're always going to miss something. And we walking around, say, I remember that, and we'll write it down in a notepad somewhere, and then we'll come back and finish it after it's all said and done.
If you do go, anybody that's going, there's an app for the PGA show too that you can get the app. It's got a layout of the entire floor plan,
Yep.
all the vendors, where the vendors are located, it'll show you your GPS location on the floor. So I highly recommend that, because you can certainly get lost in there and miss a lot of things. Go in there, kind of find what it is you want to go look at, and then kind of map it out. And that way you get to see the things that you want to see.
There we go. Look, here's another one. Kitty. Motion.
Kitty says hi.
Hello, Kitty.
Say hi to Lily. She's watching.
Lily out there too. Oh, so apparently my granddaughter's on there too. So.
Nice. We'll
Hi,
say hello.
Lily.
Hello. All right, David Rogers, glad you made it to warm weather. 2 questions. Is it legal to tape your distances on your golf clubs to the shafts? And do OEMs spend more money on R&D or marketing? Okay, distance on the shafts, I think that's legal. They used to be, now in the day, the last rule change, for instance, wedges,
Yeah.
right? For a quarter swing, half swing,
Yeah.
There was a thing we used to tell people, take a piece of tape, write it on the shaft, put a piece of Scotch tape over top of it, and it was okay. I always came across the idea that it was legal. You're not changing the shaft of any shape or imagination, and putting it on there, I don't see where.
Would be any different than putting any sticker on the club. So
I mean, I'm with that.
Yeah. That's one of those things I look up to be
Right.
so many rules, but as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with it.
Years ago when I was doing some lessoning, when we were doing that was actually recommended to do that, and it was the short game guys that were talking about it because of the different ones. Because you would go from the lob wedge to the pitching wedge or the 9-iron or the 8-iron, and go around there, and that was what you would do. And so there's that one. So OEMs, what do you think? More money on R&D or marketing?
There's an awful lot of money that goes into the R&D side that you're really not aware of. Having been able to sit and talk with a lot of the guys from Callaway on that end of it, it's an awfully big budget that they have for R&D. Now, marketing, I guess it depends on whether you include tour players in the marketing, because obviously there's a ton of money spent on the tour players, and whatever manufacturer they're with, the top guys are getting paid a lot of money for that stuff. So, if you throw all that in, it may be pretty close to even, because there's a lot of money goes into the marketing with the TV ads and sponsorships and all that side of it. So, but there is more that goes into the R&D side than probably most people think.
So how about, I was thinking as you were saying that, say the top 4, top 5 companies. So you got the Callaways, TaylorMades, the Titleist, we'll call it Ping, or the top, we'll just say those are the top 4.
Yeah.
I am pretty certain that the amount that they put into their 2 departments will be a bit different than the Srixons, the Mizunos, the Wilsons, those guys. It's going to be way, way different, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more marketing dollars in we'll call them second tier companies. They're just not as big. Second tier companies where the top end's probably pushing envelopes on research with AI and that kind of stuff. I'm sure that AI set back Callaway a few decades on price.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and then they even like for the ball development, the money that they've sunk into, the new ball plant for Callaway over $50
million bucks, yeah,
well over $50 million. So
yep. David, the Mevo Plus Pro Package and Fusion tracking. I know the Mevo Plus has been getting updated. They've been updated, which is a great thing for the Mevo Plus users, which means that there's probably going to be a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 as they allow more stuff to happen. That's a guess on my part. But the Mevo is really, really neat, and it does give you a truckload of information. I just wondered how it compares with the X3, which is the model that I have, which is the big model. And what I think is the difference between one, because the Mevo has 1 radar on it, where the X3 has at least 3 plus a camera. And I think there's a level of accuracy, and the X3 still gives out more. However, the package and the Fusion tracking something to look up. I do have an interview with them on Wednesday at noon, I believe. So we'll ask them about that one, David. We'll make sure we'll do that. Matt, Jumbo Max is on the list, and they are supposed to be there. And the only thing so far that I've seen new is that they're coming out with normal size grips.
Yeah.
Normal size grips. So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
DS, okay. Can you recommend some wedges with some forgiveness, or are they all about the same?
No, they're not all the same. So Callaway makes the CB wedge, which is their cavity back wedge, and then Cleveland with their CBX wedges.
Mm-hmm.
And those I can't tell you how many CBX wedges I've sold over the years. They were so good. So matter of fact, one of the reasons Callaway came out with the CB wedge was to compete with that CBX wedge from Cleveland. So, but they are definitely more forgiving. It's, think of it this way. What's easier to hit, a cavity back iron, big head forgiving, or blade? And when you're hitting a Jaws wedge or a Vokey wedge, you're so why make it a little easy overhead, forgiveness, don't have to be perfect. So
and a wider sole,
right? Just easier to hit. So there is definitely a difference.
So DS, whenever you're looking for it, if you want something seriously forgiving, it's a cavity back style, right? And not everybody makes it either. So you got to be careful with that one. Oh, here we go. Do you know a Cynthia?
That's my sister.
Who's this? Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Boston?
There's Darren. You guys are dedicated. Hey, buddy, we live for that. I mean, good night. We're sitting in one of the nicest hotels I've ever seen in my whole entire life. I mean, good golly.
On an ocean course.
On an ocean course.
60-degree sunny days. So.
And we can thank Steve for that.
Yeah.
All righty. Hi, Jim. I got an email from someone talking about the Titleist wedges. What do you know? What do you think of them? I don't know anything about the new Titleist wedges.
The SM9s.
All I've seen is 8s.
Yeah. I think the SM9 is the new wedge that's coming out.
Wonder what he can do when he's done with the 8.
I don't know. I'm surprised they're coming out like this almost every year. I mean, really,
Steve.
From
Thomas Horn.
From the wedges.
Is that your brother?
So
give him a shout out.
So Nick, we're not real familiar with the new Titleist stuff. The only thing that I've seen a note about them, and it was all about the face, where they had spin milling before, that he's kind of gravitating away from that, going into a different face. And of course, there's always about moving 1/10 of a gram here or there in order to get what he wants. And when Vokey's doing it, keep in mind he's super duper good. So I keep an eye on that one. James Hodges. Everyone watching. There you go, James. How you doing? There's my buddy Jack Lombard. Oh, snowy. Here we go. Steve, Jim's always helping us with the swing on our clubs. What advice can you give Jim to help his game?
Jim's not a bad player. Don't let him fool you. He can, and he hits it along. So definitely hits it out there past me. Yeah, it was a great time today. Really, when we talked about this a little bit, the thing that kind of got him the most today, the greens. Just the greens are a lot faster than what he's used to here, and they were rolling pretty good. So, but yeah, other than that, Jim's got a pretty decent game.
I just need to come down about 12 strokes.
He's got to come down.
I need to come down more often.
That's right.
That's
Come
right.
down more often, play more. That's what Jim needs.
There you go. Okay, here's a good one. Kurt, can you evaluate turf drag with an indoor iron fitting off mats? Turf drag.
I think the kind of bounce into the
I think so. So Kurt, now we've got to start with the mat. And we'll work our way backwards to turf drag. Not all mats are created equal. All right. So when we think about turf mats, the first thing that comes, what I envision, most things that comes in people's mind are those like 1/2 inch, just nasty, awful, elbow hurting, shoulder killing mats when you hit off of them that always give you a great shot when you're hitting. Always, right? And then comes the other ones, like the fiber builds. You had something different in yours, though, didn't you?
Yeah, but it was a thick pad.
Yeah.
Real nice to hit off of.
There was two. There's two. There only used to be one. There's two now, and one where you could actually stick a tee in and get a response back. So in the fiber built, mine's about yay thick, right? And yes, you can see how the club interacts with the turf as it goes through. You can actually, because you see the fibers move, right? Now on the bigger mat, you can see the strike locations, I would think.
Some of them can,
yeah. And so yeah, you can really figure it out and figure out whether or not they go deep, whether they go before the ball, after the ball. So yeah, I think on the better mats, Kurt, on the better mats, yes, you can. Outside of that, I'm probably with you on the. You're gonna get a false positive. Actually, is what I think.
Yeah, you can't hit a fat shot just off those bad thick mat. You just can't.
Right. There's David. He's in the UK. He wants me to get Seymour putters. Did you see much about with Seymour down here?
Yeah, I carried where I was for a while. Yeah, they did okay.
All right.
Not a big demand, but they definitely have their place. Yeah.
All right. There's Robin talk about her dog. All righty. Here we go. Steve, when teaching a junior today, how much does speed training play into the plan?
I guess it depends on how young you're talking when you're talking about juniors. I mean, most of them, if you just tell them to swing the club as fast as they can, they will. You don't really, again, depends on the age. If you're talking high school, college kind of player, they can benefit from speed training just like anybody else can. When you're talking the younger junior player, I always teach them just swing the club as hard as you can, because you can't. It's a lot easier to teach the swing than it is to teach speed the older they get. So if you have a young out there, just tell them to hit it as hard as they can. You can't go wrong with that. You can work on the swing. But the speed training in college, and when you start to get into the fitness side of it, anytime fitness is going to help with that. So they can definitely benefit from the speed training when they're a little bit older. But I really don't think you need to give the young players speed training. Just tell them to swing hard.
All right. So Charles made it. Check this. It's going via internet. But here we go. Charles with the McGolf apron on. Way to go, Charlie.
Nice.
Well done. All righty. Kyle, we're going to talk about PXGs or P79s. It says, what's your take on the higher handicap players trying to play more intermediate irons, P79s or the 311Ps? Honestly, so I've always had an issue with if you think you're this category of a golfer and you have to play this category of an iron, it really comes down to how well you can actually hit the ball with that club. I've seen some first timers, golf in a month, pick up a blade and absolutely stripe it. And when you the club, that can't, it's like one go back. Can't. And so I'm starting all out now. Anyway, so because if they strike well, if we got the right weights, we got them in the right lies, we got them all these things, you can hit it all.
Yeah, it's different between those better player irons and bigger gravity back, oversized iron. It's not the good shot difference. It's really just the bad shot. So if somebody can find the center of the face more often than not, they can hit whatever they want.
Okay. Here's one to check out. Duke wants to Newth Golf. I think I knew who you're talking about. I'm gonna look and if they're on. We'll make and see check. Oh, we're getting close. Here we go, Dave. Now we're both. Hello, snowy man. That's all right. Had the snow blow. Michael Barber from the UK. Sir, thank you for that. So it's like midnight over there. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
All righty, here we go. I like 3 wraps on my 600 irons. Do you know what to add or subtract for wraps for consistent feel for varied butt shafts? This is going to Hybrids Woods. Hey, Steve, you're getting a little shout out. Of course, Robin. Look at that. All right, so 3 wraps on the average, depending, again, depends on the style of tape, but 3 wraps is a mid-size.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's just say you're going to the graphite shafts will be, you'll go for 600, 580, 560, that kind of thing, and you might see some 610s out there. So whenever you just go up a 0.1 or down a 0.1, if you go up a 0.1, take a wrap off. If you go down a 0.1, put another wrap on in order for them to feel the same. You'll be so close you probably won't even notice it.
Yeah, most people can't tell the difference with whether it's 1 extra wrap, 2 extra wraps. If it's within 1 or 2, it's hard to tell.
You see Bob saying they're trying to figure out who's keeping more.
That's Aaron.
Okay. Let's keep going. Boom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. Dave says it's 18 degrees and snowing in Michigan. Yahoo! Here we go. Sean Granddad. Happy month, guys. Have a 90 mile an hour driver swing speed. For reference, do you think soft stepping an Oban C115 will cause a higher ball flight? Just left the I-210s for ZX7s. All right, so we got a different. Oh, so we're talking about iron shafts going to the CT115s will cause a higher ball flight, and going to the ZX7s. Okay. So soft stepping. Traditionally, the idea is that if you soft step it, that you will go up a little higher. However, Oban is a pretty stout club. I'm going to say technically yes, probably no. That's what we're going to be, probably no.
And if that 95 miles an hour, is that driver swing speed or iron swing speed?
I think it's driver because he says DR swing speed. So we're going to go
so
driver.
that's your driver swing speed, and you're kind of right there at that cutoff for stiff and regular, and depending on the shaft, it probably isn't going to give you a whole lot more height with those shafts.
Right. So the consensus is no. All right. How would I shorten my 3-wood shaft an inch without screwing up the club? I hit it plumb for this one more control. There you go. Well, the only way you're going to cut it down is from the butt end, bud.
Yeah.
And you're going to, it's going to get lighter. So you want to be careful with that. And before you start going on pounds and pounds of lead tape, hit it first. Hit it first and see what it does for you before you do any of that stuff.
Check your swing weight first. See what it is before you cut it. Once you cut it, check your swing weight. See how far off it is.
It will certainly be lighter to be sure. It's just sometimes going lighter is a better thing. All right, here's a manual. He's going to ask one that we can answer. Has anyone hit the new Rogue Triple Diamond LS driver? Have you hit any of the other 3? I hit the other 3 and they rock.
So that triple diamond, the only thing I'll tell you about that is if you're to hit it, miss the center of the club face. So if you miss the center of the club face, it's not going to give you a good result. So if you're able to find the center of the club face on a routine basis, you'll get an awful lot out of it.
There you go. Here's a good one. Plain Maverick irons, can they be bent to D-loft? So can you bend the loft? Yep.
Yeah, couple
He's-
degrees.
About 2. Charles, the only OEM club that's going to be at the PGA show this year is Bridgestone. Circon pulled out.
Did it?
Yeah, just as about 2 weeks ago. We got told they're afraid of COVID.
Yeah.
All righty. Patrick Barman, what are you drinking? Highland Park 12 here. Cheers. Mine was Glendernach, and it was the last bit of it. So if you're fitting someone for wedges, what are the primary questions you ask the golfer, and how does bounce fit into the equation? Ooh, good one.
Yeah, good one.
Wedges. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, well, first thing, are you a digger or a picker? It's probably one of the biggest. And then what turf conditions are you playing in? Because that makes a big difference on selecting wedges. What kind of bounce you need. Yeah.
In fact, we were just talking wedges and heel and toe relief. So what are we talking about? Number one is, how do you hit the ball? Are you digging? Are you sliding? Or a combination thereof? Number two, where do you play these wedges? Are you playing them in hard pan, soft pan, thick, fluffy, close to the ground, whatever? That's 2. And then some of the other ones is, I've broken them into 2 categories. Are you kind of a point, click, and chip kind of guy? Or are you a guy that wants to be an artiste around the greens? And then you start getting into soul grinds. And bounce in every situation is a consideration, Patrick, every time. Right? Because once you know those conditions, that's when you start playing bounce, right? That's when we start doing that.
And how much bounce you might need.
That's right. That's right. In -18, he played with Mevo Plus. Good for you, buddy. All right, let's keep going. There's Seymour. Currently have an Epic Flash driver. Is it worth it to upgrade the new Rogue driver in your opinion? Same with the irons. I have the standard Rogues. I think you're probably going to see a change from the Epic Flash to the Rogue.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. I think you're going to see something there. And if you've got the Rogue irons, you'll
see a little bit of gain because of the lofts. The new ones are definitely a little bit stronger than the original Rogue.
Yeah, I think the mass has been moved out a little bit more. So you're probably going to see a little forgiveness out of the irons. The driver's just going to win hands down. Yeah. But you're going to see a little more when we're talking about all this forgiveness. Pardon me. The irons truly are going to be a little more forgiving than those.
More tungsten weight in them.
Yep. All right. How are they going to sell their new offerings, Robin, without displaying them? There you go. And there's Scott. I know, right? But I do have it. I did bring one. I was going to put it on. I decided against it. All right, a couple more. Robin's telling me we got a couple minutes left, guys. 30 here, still being shorts, Jimmy. Here's some big guys out there. Oh, my. Kent, you are an absolute card. Steve Mihelarakis had the sniffles in the weekend snow. Yep. I'm telling you what, I scratched today, man. All right, let's see what this is. The TaylorMade Twist Face really worked out for golfers of all skill levels when it was released. Okay. I'm not real familiar with the TaylorMade and the Twist Face, so I'm not sure. Did it do
that? I guess it's opinion based. Twist Face was nothing new. It had been done before.
Oh, yeah.
And so whether it works or not, I don't know.
Okay. Here we go. Duke. Glad to hear Dean still didn't get hit by the Nassau ball manufacturers news. Yeah, there was Mike Allspice put it out that they let go of a lot of people at the ball plant in Nassau that was making a lot of those things. All right, let's see. Here we go. Add some more. If it isn't the billionth shaft in the fitting room as on the market, if there isn't the blend shafts in the room as on the market, what's the best chance of getting the best shaft? I've never found I had the perfect feel after fitting. They often feel like a board. If they often feel like a board, Darren, chances are they're handing you the right shaft. I mean, bottom line. So not every fitter is going to have every shaft. That's a fallacy. And the fitter that has those shafts should be, if you're going to hang it on your wall, you ought to be an expert in that particular shaft. At least know the characteristics it should play and who it's for. Bottom line. And then when you get what you're looking for, because you have to tell them it feels like a board. And then seeing what's going on up there. So I don't, it's honestly, I think it's a pipe dream to actually have every shaft on the planet out there. And honestly, they if a guy would keep it down to about 3 companies, he could probably fit just about everybody.
You don't need 100 driver shafts to do a good fitting. If you know, I just don't believe you need that many.
No.
Like I said, if you know the shafts, what the shafts are going to do, you see the player, see him hit the ball, you look at your numbers, you should be able to get it dialed in. And if you're going somewhere and you're not getting that result, you either need to speak up and tell them or you need to go somewhere else.
There we go. So a Tim Bockhold. Hi, gang. There you go. There you go. Joe's asking you a question. As a teacher and fitter, 2 questions. What are your thoughts on how far the ball is going and the biggest change in the last years?
As far as the ball goes, PGA Tour players are just a different breed. They're just a different breed. They're going to hit the ball a long way no matter what. The way the fitness is these days, as strong as they are these days and how good they are, I look at it more, what's the average golfer doing? Most guys, and I think Jim can tell you, when you ask people how far they hit the golf ball, their perception of how far they hit it and the reality of how far they hit it are 2 completely different things. Most people always think they hit the ball farther than they really do. So if you can get them a golf ball that is going to give them a little bit more yardage, I don't personally think it's a bad thing. Again, for golf, I don't think it's a bad thing that people are hitting the ball a little bit longer. PGA Tour pros, that's different. If you want to limit them, the problem with the rules of golf is they're not willing to have one set of rules for the pros and another set of rules for everybody else. So as long as that's the case, I would hate to see them limit the golf ball, because I think it's a benefit for most players that are out there. So, and probably one of the biggest things I've seen, again, year to year, if you're looking at the last 3 years, there's probably not a lot of stuff that's different. Obviously I'm big Callaway and being on their fitters board and what I've seen with them, and know the engineers from Callaway. I've talked to those guys. The jailbreak technology, when it came out, I thought that was pretty revolutionary. It's been a few years back since that came out, but how they are advancing that and then using the AI technology for the faces and how they're advancing that. And now they're not the only company doing it. You have other companies now coming out, getting those AI computers, and they're trying to do the same thing for that. So probably the AI getting involved in the design of golf clubs and being able to ask a computer, what do I need to do to get this result, and having the computer tell you. That's probably the biggest change in golf here recently.
There you go. So a couple guys, they said, say hi to Tom Washon. Guys, know for a fact, Tom does not go into these things. I've called him in Colorado from the show a couple of times to ask him some questions of stuff I saw, and he absolutely positively detests these things. And the other part about it, if I found him, we probably wouldn't leave for 2 days, because we would be talking golf, and he loves talking golf, and I love listening to him talk golf. We probably wouldn't. And Ms. Mc can because the last time we got together, we stood until our legs got sore. So yeah, but I'd love to, if he was down here, dude, it would be awesome. All right, couple more. Do we think that they're going to let the tungsten weights in the Rogue drivers be changed if needed, since it's held in with 2 screws? I think if you're going to make a swing weighted, if you're going to change the swing weight, that's where they're going to do it, right? So yeah, they may not let you do it, Mike, but they'll let me do it, and they'll let Steve do
I
it.
guarantee you they have other weights for those jobs.
Yeah, right. All right, here's a good one. Scotty, can a stroke lab be installed in a Scotty Cameron shaft? I'm here to tell you the answer is no. And the reason being is Scotty takes a different, we'll call it the hosel hole, or the hosel is different, right? It's a different size. Now, with a little modification, can you make it go? Yeah, but it'll be ugly. And you don't want to do that. Not if you're going to go with a Scotty and a stroke lab. But they're not one-to-one, no. All righty, so Trish wants you to say hi to Lily because she's watching.
I did. Hi, Lily.
There you go. We want to say hi to Lily. Good job. All righty. Wife got me a divot board for Christmas. Pretty nice training aid. Did anyone have a chance to use one yet? You know what he's talking about?
I believe what he's talking about, it's the board where when you hit off the board, it'll show you the club and the path that the club took.
Oh, like it.
Yeah, and then you kind of wipe it away and you can do it again.
I think that's kind of a cool.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. All righty. Do you think most players can pick up swing speed with any of the tools and aids on the market? I had a coach that's not really possible.
I guarantee it's possible.
There you go.
Again, how much? I think that's up to the individual, but
right.
You can definitely, between fitness, stretching, and then doing some swing speed training, you can increase your swing speed.
Okay. Sean's got one. Do you think? Oh no, Michael. Do you think Ping and Titleist were down the carbon road in their drivers? I know what I'm thinking. Me too.
For a fact, there's no way Ping will.
No, Ping is too. Yeah. They're very, very conservative in their approach to everything, and they're baby steps in everything that they do. That's just been their thing, and they produce great product. But if you're going to be looking for something revolutionary, probably not the company to go looking.
And they don't make a change every year. A lot of their stuff they carry for 2 years.
Right.
So. And
Titleist has already put a whole lot of money into 4 of their drive. They got the TS. There's 4 of them now, right?
Yeah.
And so they put a lot into that. Now, a couple of years from now, after they see it's been proven, maybe.
I think that'll be the key. How it's going to hold up. It's not the first time they've had carbon face drivers.
Nope, there's a C4.
Before, so it just typically they haven't held up well. So I think that's what everybody's waiting to see is how well that face is going to hold up.
You think the normal size Jumbo Max grip, they're going to them Jumbo Shrimp. That's a Carlin. That's a Carlin take off of that one, buddy. You're stealing a little bit. Yeah. Thomas Horn says, hi, Steve.
Hey, Tom, it's my brother-in-law.
I see him wearing the uniform. Yeah. Thank you, buddy. All righty. Larry Oppenheim, what do you say? Thank you, bud. A couple more here. Just watched the video of Mark Crossfield testing the Vokey SM9. They look pretty versatile. Good. Good. All right, a couple more, and then we got to go. I can verify that you can definitely hit it fat while you're getting fit off the fire room. Yeah. and Jason's a pretty big cat, so if he's hitting it good through, but he did good. He did good. All right. Use the vinyl fibers on your mats to eliminate rug burn on your clubs. Okay. There we go. Here's one for you. Tested the T100 against the 221 and X100. The T1 club weight was D2. T1 was D6. Wow. How a blade is 10 to 15 yards longer. Well, I'm going to say there's one of two reasons why it is 10 to 15 yards longer. One is it's a stronger loft. That's number one. It's a stronger loft. And number two, you had to have hit it in the middle of the club better. D2 to D6 is probably something about putting it back there. You know, I've been lucky enough to mess with the T100s in builds, and it's basically a small cavity, big hunk of metal on the bottom. The T21 is a pure blade, and I don't know if it's that heavy, to be honest with you.
It shouldn't be.
And but I would imagine it has a lot to do with the fact that the loft is a little bit stronger now. All right. Here we go. Here's something that you've probably seen. How do you think the new Titleist blades compare to the older blades like the 695 MB?
I haven't seen the new one, so I don't know.
Me either. Manuel says, thanks for the answer, Steve. All righty. Here we go. I have the older Rogue driver, and can I just update the shaft and pretty much achieve the same results without paying high price for the new model?
It's a very different head this year.
Yeah. So
after what we saw today, I'd say probably not.
So what's to allude to what Steve said earlier? The way I looked at it is, if you knew how clubs came out prior to computers, right? So everything was done. You had to make a model, and then you shipped it overseas, and it got put back and back and forth and back and forth. And you never really saw an appreciable jump in technology in drivers in probably 6 to 8 years, easily 6 to 8 years. Now, this is a jump in technology that's good for you, right? Not necessarily always, because every jump they make in technology may not make a massive improvement for you. In irons, it was a shorter life cycle. It would have made, instead of 8 to 10, 6 to 8 years, it was more like 4 to 6. And because that was, you could manipulate more. And they had the technology back then. Introduced computers, the world got smaller. Whoom. And then they got CAD, and then they got 3D printing, and they got all this, and now you can share from continent to continent really, 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 really fast. So now you're seeing that 6 to 8, 8 to 10 is now 3 to 5 in changes, and irons are even closer than that. So you're seeing a lot of the space of what it's gotten smaller. So now you're seeing in 2018, hence it's 222. You're right on that cusp of change, man. And when the Rogue driver was out, they didn't have AI. And so we're going to see, you'll probably see a pretty decent improvement. Best thing to do, Miguel, is take your driver to one of the places that's got the new one and just put them up against each other and just see. All righty. Let's get down to here. Last one. Have you either tested the Sub-Zero club line? So what is your impressions?
So I had a friend of mine that had a connection with Sub-Zero, and he got them. They were like super soft. Like he gave them to me to bend, do some loft and lie changes on them, and you barely touched them. That's how easy they bent. He played them for about 3 or 4 weeks and sent them back. So, but that was the blade. I've seen some of the other ones, but I have not seen their current lineup. I know they look really good. I just don't know much about their performance side.
Okay, and I haven't seen so much of it because I understand not very many of it's left-handed. So my give a darn's busted. All right, one last one. Here we go. And this is going to be one to end on. Steve he's going to hit this one out of the park. Joe Murphy, what would help the recreational player improve most rapidly?
Just to practice your short game.
There you go.
You know, for most, the average weekend golfer, if you have any chance at all to practice, chip and putt. If you can practice your chipping and pitching around the green, and you can putt, you make up for a lot of errors. So, and most people, what they do when they do have a chance to practice, they go to the range and they just pound balls
And
You
hit
know,
the driver.
and they hit that driver, they hit irons, and they never go practice a short game. So if you really want to shave some strokes off, and when I was teaching a lot, I stressed that if you got better at your short game and you improved your short game, you're automatically going to save some strokes. That's not necessarily the case with your driver or your irons.
There you go. And we always, the old saying is the short game is the first thing to leave and the last thing to show up. There it is. Pels, who is a notorious short game guy, inside on 50, half your game is played. So if you wanted to get really, really good, concentrate all your game inside 150. Again, I've seen guys in their late 60s, early 70s absolutely fleece the new guys that could hit it. They'll hit it 150, 200 yards past this guy, but he's walking away with a par and they're walking away with a birdie, and he's got their money in his wallet.
Sure.
And that's it right there. Okay, guys, we made it back down to the end. And again, it was another good one. Thank you for talking to us around the world. Steve, thank you very much. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the hookup, and thanks for the golf. It was awesome.
My pleasure. Glad to have you.
All righty. So, guys, again, like, subscribe. I'm not putting out the video tomorrow, but we will be putting. You'll be seeing some live streams. I'm going to send out the notes, and we'll do this tonight like we've done in the past. We'll just recap what we saw, and then we'll start posting the videos of the interviews that we did. And again, guys, as always, let's see your scores. Go low.